Tempest Podcast. Welcome to Patreon extra content for you guys who support the podcast. We are joined by the guys from Tempest. We've got Cameron and we've got Big Hodge.
That's a very subtle technique you've got there. You cancel the original podcast, get my inhibitions down, and then all of a sudden I'm like saying anything I want, and then, gosh, who knows what might happen next?
I tell you, we'll have you on. I was going to say we'll have you on some dodgy website later where you're top off. Like that's fine.
Hey, come on now.
Again.
Come on, eat the money.
So we've just recorded an awesome podcast for you guys, going through some of the beers. We've still got some left over, so perfect excuse to continue drinking with you gentlemen and finding out more about the brewery. There was plenty of questions we never got through that we sent over. One that is probably... It's quite an interesting one to find out from yourself, Hodge and Cameron. A style of beer you would like to brew the most, and if you could do something standard or even if it's off the wall, what would you prefer to brew? What is that crazy idea in your head, apart from the ink, the seaweed ink, whatever?
Yeah, I know. I already said that, Chad. Well, we recently did a beer which was the Midnight Dipper, which was like a variation of our West Coast Brave New World without any sort of fresh fruit character at all. It was like dry and piney. I mean, that's what you want. Let's just take it to the limit. Let's get the bitterness to where it's almost like too bitter and dry completely.
There's no such thing as too bitter, mate.
Well, that's it. I mean, like where does it go? You know, it's like we keep tacking on like 5 IBUs here. Let's just like keep it going. You know, so that's really where I think Midnight Dipper sort of was born out of. Yeah. We were like, how much more bitter can we make Brave New World before it's not the same beer anymore, almost? Because what I love about Brave New World is it is bitter, it has got resin, but in the background, it's got this sort of like boiled orange sweet character. Yeah. That's the fruit. It tastes like oranges. For me, anyway. I mean, I'm not a sommelier. But like the Midnight Dipper, we were like, let's just dry this mother out. And it was just like it was like biting into a pine cone. And it was a higher truth. And I would just love to see where we could take that, because there's an appetite for it. It's like your man just said, man, it's like, oh, there's no such thing as too bitter. Well, let's fucking find out together. You know what I mean?
I am on that, like we spoke about on the podcast, the whole West Coast thing. And I've been quite critical of people's West Coast IPAs. Like, even when we've been on the podcast, I've been pretty honest and said, look, that's, for me, it's not West Coast. And I think the whole bitter aspect of it is so key. And when you think about, like, when I think about a West Coast IPA, it takes me right back to, like, Sierra Nevada, right? Like, the traditional...
And Sierra Nevada, the first time you tried it.
Aye.
So that's what you're harking back to with the bitterness all the time. You're trying to find how bitter Sierra Nevada was the first time you tried Sierra Nevada. When the drink you had before it was a Coors Light, because that was the only 2 American beers available at the time. You know, that taste is what you're trying to hark back to all the time, Mark, isn't it?
Remember, when we were in Vegas, right? Me and you went like balls deep into fucking like dirty Big Jokes IPA and all the rest of it, trying to find, and we did find a couple of stinking West Coast
IPA. They were incredibly bitter. Like,
and even I remember you saying that's too bitter for me, and I was like,
"That's too harsh.
This is the bollocks." And I mean, it was like I can't remember the name of it, which obviously shows what the ABV would be.
How much we enjoyed Las Vegas.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the important part. You're making a West Coast, like, blow my brains out with bitterness and then follow up with the flavour that you expect, if you know what I mean. And I think that's...
I mean, like, it's all, of course, like striking a balance. It's like, no one would just focus exactly on like bitterness and stuff. But yeah, I'm with you, man, because it's like a good, honest representation of a West Coast IPA. I mean, that is like a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you want to push it as far west, like you want to be hanging off the pier, if you like. When it comes to the kind of that kind of style.
That Midnight Dipper we made 1,900 liters of it. And I'm like, well, why did we make 30 hag of it? You know, like this, you know. And I remember getting in such a row because it's all like, it's like, I brew hot side, and there's like cellaring and like filtration and like centrifuging and all manner of things. Like, that's the one thing to say about brewing. It's not just like done in a vacuum. It's a long, continuous process. So it's like, I remember thinking like, oh, sweet, I just made 1975 like liters of this stuff. Doug's gonna be so pleased. He's like, why did you make 75 liters more? I was like, I don't know. I thought I was doing a good thing. But it turns out that actually it was pretty important to make 19 heck. I'm like, Doug, you'll never guess what? He's like, what the fuck?
Squeezed out 1975.
I'm like, Doug, 1975. He's like, get out. What? Get your stuff and get out. I was like, oh God, Doug.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask you before you jump in, Gav. What's your thoughts on the whole, like, since we're on the whole West Coast and we've spoken about the East Coast stuff? What's your thoughts on this whole mountain IPA sort of middle of the road kind of style? And do you think that's like one? I'm not too sure about the name, put it that way, but I think there's definitely there's a kind of gap in the market for that kind of style of beer that isn't East Coast. It isn't West Coast, and it's like, but it's not your traditional sort of.
But do you know feel like it's maybe they've tried to do a Westie and it's not bitter enough, and they just.
Well, that's what we thought about originally, wasn't it? Either they've tried to make a New England and it's turned out too bitter, or they've tried to make a West Coast and it's not bitter enough. They've labelled it a mountain IPA and sold it.
Right.
But I quite like it as a style.
What have you guys tried? What have you tried recently that was like a great definition of a West Coast, by the way, boys?
There's
one beer, the Cone by Top Out.
Top Out. Oh yeah, that one your West Coast, man. That one your IPA, yeah.
Top Out, West Coast. The Cone is phenomenal. That
was really good. It was so, like you spoke about kind of resinous. That's what that beer is. It's like. It is kind of filtered down resin. It's superb, but it's it isn't just bitter.
When the first time I tried the Cone, I got it at Beer Zoo in Dunbar. I was on holiday and I got that. And
you're on holiday in Dunbar.
Yeah,
no. I was going to say, you're talking to a guy from Gala. It's 10 minutes on the road.
Caravan site near Dunbar.
Oh right, sick. Yeah.
So I got the Cone, and in that same purchase was a can of New World. So and those two went hand in hand, and that was kind of my sort of renaissance of going towards the more
quite like bitterness,
bitter side of things. And those two beers were the kind of catalyst for me to get involved in that sort of side of things. So yeah, those two stand up together in my mind.
The dream.
The Cone Top Out is absolutely phenomenal. If you've not tried it, definitely give it a go. It's.
After that, like, I totally jumped into like West Coast style. Mm-hmm. Anybody that was basically selling a West Coast, I went buying West Coast IPAs, and a lot of the time I was disappointed, and it kind of annoyed me a little bit. There was one that I had from a brewery in Philadelphia that I got from is it Beer Bruvs? That's the
import stuff.
The US import, and I can't even remember the name of the brewery, which is terrible. And I was like, I had that, and then I had the Cone right after it, and I was like, perfect. They were bitter, they were packed. You still got the hops flavour coming through. And you were just like, that's exactly what I want. Yeah. I want more beer, because that's exactly what I want.
Man, for me, what's huge is like 10 years we wouldn't be having this conversation. That's one of the things that
would have been the style.
The appetite for craft beer is like no longer just this like side like malign thing. Mm-hmm. It is like in the public consciousness. People want it. They want to try. They don't just want to try West Coast IPAs. They want to try the most bitter IPAs they can get. And it's sort of like, imagine even mentioning the word hops in a pub 10, 12 years ago.
I know, you'd have been laughing at.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
People thought you'd ask him for a cocktail.
Hello, good sir. What hops are in this beer? You get like a club chair like, thrown at your head. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I mean, let this be a barometer for like how things have moved on. You know, where it's like we're allowed to have nice beer. And thank God, you know.
Thank God. So, Scott, and you had a beer that's in my fridge sitting cooling, the Kanye West, another West Coast. How does that compare to like? I know you in our group chat. You said it was phenomenal. Excuse me. How does it compare to the cone?
So it's a double West Coast. So it's definitely more of what you're looking at. It is effectively doubled up. I thought it was bitter enough, but I didn't think it was super bitter to the point whereby it lost. It didn't lose any flavour for me because I couldn't get over the resin. Now, I mentioned that I said already, Mark, when he's back on the sauce, which he now is, should get one to taste it against his kind of range, because I don't think he'll find it bitter enough. But I found it to be a kind of perfect balance, and that's why I like kind of Brave New World as well. You guys are saying it has to be as resiny as you can get it, which I get. And the Midnight Dipper is probably the who you want to go if that is the aim of your game. But I think the Brave New World and the Kanye West have something about them wherein they have there's a slight kind of something else that brings things back that gets you a bit of balance.
Aye.
Which is it took me back. The initial mouthful and the initial aroma and hit did take me back to that initial, like, I don't know if you've the first time I tried the Torpedo IPA from Sierra Nevada, the 7.2 number, the big kind of dark green bottle. It kind of took me back to that. It had all the right notes to that, but also had all the depth of flavour and enjoyable aspects that kind of allowed it to kind of grow and you go through it as you're enjoying it, which I think Brave New World has as well. I mean, I'd love to try it like you. Already.
I'll send you some fresh.
I want to come and get it. I want to come and get it within 10 meters of where it is.
Oh, man,
because I think that's the way to go. I mean, they come because the beer's good. They stay because Hodge's patter is incredible.
Well, actually, the banter is pretty good. If you Google Tempest Big Hoge, you'll figure it out for yourselves. The thing is, we've got like a 5-star rating across Facebook, like 100% on all of the platforms, and I'm very like fiercely guarded of that. Like no one can fuck that up, you know. So anyone that comes into my tap rooms, they get treated like fucking royalty, man. It's brilliant.
No, you've got to go and have it where it's. We've said this before, and we were talking on the actual podcast about tap rooms and brew pubs. I mean, a lot of the US model was brew pubs first.
Yeah,
so the brew pub was where it started, and it went through there, and we're finding that more and more. I know that Mickler and Exmouth Market down in London have got a brew pub.
Yeah.
I know the Hanging Bat have dipped their toe in the water a few times with brewing and the pub before, not necessarily selling it straight to the, like cutting a hole in the back of things. But I know the Hanging Bat have,
that's Johnny Horn, isn't it, from back in the day?
Yeah, I know that they've got.
Like if you're looking for anyone to watch, so like Johnny Horn, he was Vault City previously. Now he's Holy Goat.
Yes, the Holy Goat. So I know the Holy Goat and the Hanging Bat have got a collaboration.
He's annoyingly successful.
Yeah,
but he's ages, you know. I mean, like he's like tapped into something there. So like you'll see it all the time. Like even all these, you know, I'm promoting him now. Everyone digs it, man. Because he genuinely believes in what he's doing. It's brilliant.
Well, you see it. I mean, the amount that they've managed to, just on social media alone, if you're looking at the page and the merch that they've shifted. I mean, the guy's he's not shifted a beer yet. Everybody's got his fucking t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's like a band.
So I'm actually originally from Dundee. So I think they were brewing out of 71 up there. And like now he's got his own premises. I mean, that's one to watch. I mean, Vault City have got their own thing going on now. They actually parted ways, didn't they? Those two chaps?
Yeah.
So now he's doing something in Edinburgh, and they've got their own thing going on. Fuck, it's all happening, man. Like the Scottish beer scene is like,
it's incredible. It's so
diverse. When was it last time it was so electric, man? The fucking New Barns and Leith. Give me a break. And who are those new chaps as well? Like that Moonwake.
You know, a week as well, Hodge.
Yeah, man. Fuck. Like
who's that?
Moon. It's like Moon Brewing. So their kit's currently on a sort of vessel in somewhere in Europe, Gav. So it's currently coming. But yeah, it's a new brewery out of Leaf. I think it's Moon Brewing, isn't it, Hodge?
Nah, it's like Moon Wake. It's like
Moonwake,
their
yeah.
name means like the reflection of the moon in the sea.
Oh, you would be thinking,
sick, man.
I mean, the way you sold that, Cam, there, they were brewing stuff in the container on the road over.
That would be sick.
That would be tremendous. They just arrive in Leith with beer ready to go. Here you go.
So something that I wanted to add, if that's all right, is that like after the podcast we just did and this bit, I think with people like Hodge, and hopefully myself as well, like I genuinely think that brew pubs and everything are kind of the next thing. I look at kind of models now that
I hope so.
Like Sophia, basically from my point of view as the brand ambassador to Tempest, I always look at it, and we have a lot of great customers that I love chatting to and getting to know, and you form a friendship, let alone like a business relationship. But I do think when I'm very lucky because like it's traditionally at the tap rooms, it's me, Aaron, and Andy that run them, basically the three of us. And I just something that if I'm being brutally honest, I find it frustrating is I meet these people who are really engaged with what we're about, and they meet us as people. And I think a brew pub, basically, you always have a bottom line. This is very technical, so my apologies if anyone listening is bored. But basically, like I think a brew pub would sort of basically would be everything that we believe in. So people like Hodge or myself or Gav or Annika or Doug, anybody that works there, like if you come and see us, we're all personalities in our own right, and I think that kind of is so much easier to put across your own pub. I look at Fierce, for example. I mean, they had one. They've got one in Aberdeen, started off. Now one in Edinburgh, one in Manchester. I mean, that's you sorted week to week, isn't it, lads? You know, like you just send your beer fresh. You've got your audience already there. I mean, it's a winner.
Absolutely.
And then I think a perfect example is one at Scott you went to by the river.
Newcastle.
I mean, by the river with the setup that they've built up when it's running and you're allowed, obviously. The container village with the I mean, they've got everything there. You could you could take your family there and spend effectively the whole day, particularly in the summer when they open it up and they have different activities and stuff going on. But you can go there they've got the coffee shop. You can go there on your bike. You can get your bike fixed and go and have a pint. I mean, you don't want to be drunk and charge a vehicle, obviously, but then you just chain the bike up and leave it. Come back and get it the next again day for sure. But you've got there within 5-10 minutes, you could be at Wylam in a taxi, and you've then got another tap room, which is, I mean, it's like a beer observatory, that place.
Yeah, but also go Scott. You've got
Wylam location's banging, man.
Yeah. Like you've also as well, like up the road, Scott, you've got the legendary Free Trade Inn at the top of the hill. And that's one of the best pubs in the UK, you know?
Aye. And I mean, Newcastle's incredible. I mean, it's got the best carry-out beer shop. I mean, the Central, definitely, but with it, that goes without saying. But Central...
24-hour Greg's.
24-hour Greg's, and then if you're getting the first train back up the next again day, you can go into Central and get kitted out with the best carry out for a train you've ever had in your life. I mean, Central's unbelievable. I walked in, it was like walking into a sweetie shop for the first time. It was like wall to wall, just everything you could ever hope for in a beer shop. And then you come up to Edinburgh and you get to Marks and Spencer's.
Yeah, you know.
You know what I mean? It's totally different.
I think that Greg's.
Are you chaps missing the pub?
Oh, aye.
No, not at all. Nah, never.
I'm
only trying to create pubs everywhere in my house.
I came back from a big walk on the hill inside Gala, and I was coming back into the town, and I was like, "Fuck! I wish I could have in that pub." You know, and I didn't realize how much I missed it until it actually earned it after doing a big walk.
The exact same Hodge on Sunday. Took the dog a good proper walk up the hills and whatnot, and came back and I was like, this is the perfect time to go and sit in a nice old bar, have a wee beer.
I've earned it.
I've earned my beer. The one tap room that I know we've all been to, and they make the beer in the place where they're brewing it or whatever, selling it, was one we all went to in Bristol. Was Left Handed Giant. That place was phenomenal.
Yeah. Yes.
What a space that is.
That is a dream. like I honestly, I've obviously not been there, but seen it online. That is like a high.
Are you sure?
Like,
It sounded like you'd been
man.
there. It sounded like you'd been there with that reaction.
No. But like, so when the last time I was down in London, I was there next to Left-Handed Giant.
Hodge. And I was chatting all
those chaps. Sorry, I was getting excited. Like that's it though, isn't it? Like you got to create like the ultimate environment for suckers to come down. It's the one, man.
I remember
that guy's
when...
a fucking legend.
I
saw your question. It's like if you had unlimited money, I'd probably buy Left-Handed Giant.
I remember when we went there. This was when we were doing a tap into Bristol, which was literally a year. In fact, last year, pretty much. Is that today?
A year ago today?
Yeah, almost.
This week.
This week it would have been. We did a live podcast at Tapestry in Bristol, and we visited Left-Handed Giant the day after. And I didn't realise it had 3 or 4 levels above it. I just thought it was that one space below, and then we end up going up to the top. There's pool tables, there's dartboards. You can look over all the tanks and
it's amazing.
Stuff.
The only regret was that it was a Sunday and they weren't brewing that day.
Oh, also it was like fucking
quiet.
Storm fucking Stewart or some shit that day. Remember?
Aye, it was a good place to hide out. It was a good place to hide out a rainstorm. That's for sure.
Because they've got the whole like brew pub that they actually release as well, right? Yeah. Alongside the Left-Handed Giant stuff. Yeah.
Aye, it has its own set of releases, which is good because it means you can get all the kind of core stuff that you're used to, but then you can also get stuff that you can only get there. And I think as we've spoke about the kind of Pokemon card side to drinking beer and craft beer is that I've got to have had it. Because it's like, well, and that's where the hype thing can go the other way, and you end up buying stuff just for the hype. Like for some weird reason, despite only having one mouth, I've ended up with 8 cans of putty. So it kind of swings and roundabouts with the hype stuff.
But they
mention
are
it
good,
to somebody.
All
of us, they kind of deliver. But there's other beers that have the hype.
Have you seen their new brewery, the Verdant Brewery? That is like nuts, man.
Aye.
Next level stuff. The last time, so the time that Cam was talking about when we were in London, we were stood there, and next thing I knew, Left-Handed Giant turned up to the left of us, and then Cloudwater turned up behind us. I was like, fucking hell. And then Verdant was right next to us, and I was like, come on, Big Hodge, you're going to play this just right. You're going to get 3 collaborations out of this. Shoot your brewery into the stratosphere. And of course, I just got absolutely smashed and ruined it for everyone.
Not at all. No, I'm sure they remember you fondly.
If my boss is listening to this, I did not do that.
Well, if your boss wants to listen, he'll need to sign up to our Patreon page. So
there we go. There we go, man.
That's the 4 of you. Was like, do you kind of like Scott was alluding to earlier in our chat on this part of the podcast, like. Scott, do you kind of feel that you all kind of get on the train? So like you kind of, this is hypey. Do you find yourself kind of being let down a lot of the time? And have you found yourself, all 4 of you, have you kind of found yourself changing your drinking habits over the past year? Or are you still always constantly, this is the next big thing, I need to drink this or I'm kind of not in the it crowd? What's your kind of response?
You can start off, mate.
Kind of speaking, I think having known the guys for quite a long time, that I can kind of allude to hopefully what everybody's going to. Mine, I feel the pressure to get whatever the next hype thing is. My no having to travel in and out to Edinburgh every day at the moment means that I've got a bit extra that I can then do that, or shouldn't be doing that, but do for a lot of the beers. But I also like to. I don't think I've been pretty picky over the stuff that I get hyped about. I've got a mate, and I've got Gavin down in Brighton. I've got another mate that lives in London who's right in the middle of he's in the kind of the eye of the storm when it comes to anything that's hype. So he's good friends with the guy that runs the high road in Tottenham. It used to be the gents' toilets, which is quite funny. And the guy from All Good Beer as well. So he gets the kind of hype stuff as it comes and lets me know. But I'm quite picky over the stuff that I get on. But I think for the likes of putty and stuff, I mean, it's been going for however many years now, and this is the newest iteration yet. I didn't get on board the last time, and I thought, I've got to try it this time. There are some though that I've been kind of you're not underwhelmed, but you're just thinking, I've went out and I've bought that stuff, and it's there, but it's not all there. I would much rather have stuck to something that was maybe brewed a bit closer to home, that didn't have to travel as much to get to me. Although the in their defence, everything that I've had over from either Other Half or Trillium has always been incredible, which I think their reputation stands. I think they make incredible stuff all the time. But I've never ever tried. I've tried stuff that's travelled from New York or Boston or wherever it was brewed to here, but I've never tried it there. And from what my mate tells me that's been there a lot, the experience of trying it there is incredible. And I think that would ruin it for me. So I think I would be less likely to get on the hype train with stuff with Trillium and Other Half if I had been to New York and Boston to try it. I think that would totally knock it off its perch. But there are things here that I would much rather try closer to home rather than hype. I would go with the new stuff for the brewery that's here.
Hey man, me and you could go to New York.
That's fine.
Amazing.
Signed up. Callum, I'll let you go next.
Well, you know me, it's I'm not in the luxury of being cash rich, shall we say, to be able to go and get these new beers that are coming out all the time. So a lot of the times I'm sort of a little bit behind, or getting on the beers as they come in for the breweries that we're getting on the podcast.
But that puts you in an advantageous position as well, wherein you can see what we get.
Aye.
And get the very best, which is excellent. We can sometimes, not very often, because we're pretty good at kind of sharing stuff out, but sometimes we can take the hit and you dodge a bullet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but with the same token, I mean, being involved in this podcast has put you in such a great position. Like, we've spoken a couple of times tonight about Kieran, with Acid Brewing, and we've tried his stuff. We've spoken to him 2 or 3 times. So when something new comes out, we know, this is going to be fucking tremendous. So let's get on. And he did his industrial farmhouse the tail end of last year, and we all got on board with that. And I've still got a few bottles of that sitting aging away in the cupboard. And that's what I love about this experience and stuff, is being able to get in the front door with things like that. But,
definitely, Marky boy. No, can't hear you.
No,
he's unconscious.
You broke it. Well, while he fixes that, for me,
what about you guys? Yeah.
For me, I feel that there is a pressure to make sure I get on the hype train. Main reason is because I'll look after all the social media and stuff. So I need to make sure that we are joining that hype train, because let's be honest, if a beer's got a hype around it, the way we get traffic is by making sure that traffic is coming our way as well. So with regards to like putty, etc., I've got 5 cans of the putty, or I've had 5 cans of the putty, I should say. The first one, I won't lie, I was slightly underwhelmed, but I reckon that's because I'd had some other beers beforehand that maybe tainted the experience. And I had one last night, which was the first beer I had. No, Sunday, and it was fantastic. So I feel like there's always a pressure to have it. Like, for example, the new Overtone, the Blur Deeper that they've got. I've got 3 cans arriving tomorrow or the next day. Only reason being because we've got a collaboration podcast with some other beer bloggers who are far more better beer tasters than us, especially myself. Maybe not Scott or the other guys, but are far more literate and got a better grammar for telling people how they experience the beers and what they think of the beers. Where I just go, that's fucking good. So
then what's wrong with that, baby? That's fucking good.
Yeah.
So I've picked up 3 of these ones. So one that I can have initially when it arrives, and then one I can save, because we're basically doing we're going to be looking at specific beer styles. So we're looking at Deepers. We're going to look at what's the other ones, Mark? Stout, Lager Pilsner and a stout. Yeah. So I've got some. What's the lager one? It starts with a D. Gil, help me.
Donzoko.
Donzoko. I've got some Donzoko.
They're big hype lager guys, and I think they do well at it.
So I've got some Donzoko arriving from different ones that they're doing. I've got some of the overtone, but yeah, there's definitely a pressure to make sure that we are keeping along the hype train as such with social media, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I overly like the beers.
Aye, some of them are a bit. I mean, like, see if you were to see if Mark was to tell us.
We can hear him though. We can hear him.
Can we hear him now?
We can hear you.
I'm sure the thing he would tell us if he could talk to us. I'm just going to talk at the top of you now because it's good fun. Is that see if you were to follow. See if you were like just because I've watched the ball when there's nothing else to watch. You watch a bit of football on the telly. See if you're an Overtone ticket holder, you'd be absolutely skint.
Oh, mate.
I'll just say that. No, see if you tried to follow them and get everything that they brewed and kind of go kind of Pokemon style and say, right, I want every beer that Overtone have ever done. Your wallet would be empty forever.
Is this a football analogy or a Pokemon analogy? Because
I bet both.
Both. I'm going with both.
Scott, you'll know the same as me. Every time you buy an Overtone, I've got the latest Overtone. Fucking yes, I've got a Kanye West.
I've got the latest one out.
Elementary. I've got the Laura laughs, and then all of a sudden, fucking, there's another two.
You can't go 48 hours without there being a new beer, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it means you are drinking the freshest stuff all the time.
I mean, like the Overtone have a core range. I don't know.
No, I wouldn't think so.
So that's the model that fucking Pomona Island got. So James Dyer, who used to brew at Tempest, so he's the guy whose job I've got now, like 3 years later. So like they just do this like a consistent variation of brews, no core range, constant height.
The reason they can do that is because every single time they're a banger. Overtone are absolutely phenomenal at making IPAs, making New Englands, and making Deepas. They are phenomenal at making it, and that's why you always buy them. And that's why with the Laura laughs that I bought, I was slightly underwhelmed. However, I'm still going to keep buying their stuff because I know, like, I've got an Elementary in my fridge, I've got a Kanye West in my fridge, and I've just bought 3 cans of Blur, and that's because I know their stuff is phenomenal, and I know I'm going to get quality.
So, like, from another, sorry, I'm really interested in what you four have to think as well, guys. If you were to sort of define Tempest, like, what do you think it is? Because I think we make, so following from what Callum had to say, I think we make beer that's very affordable but very well made. I think that's quite a fair statement to make. I don't know what Callum thinks. But secondly, so I think with us you get it. But like, so Overtone, they're kind of New England's and their team there, like Andy and stuff like that.
Yep.
What do you think it is at Tempest? Is it our dark beer? If you were going to go Tempest, I know I'm always going to buy like a dark beer. What do you think defines kind of Tempest? I also think that's interesting from your perspective.
I have to say that it's you just know you're going to get quality. I mean, I've that's me. I've had the Brave New World, I've had the Rye, I've had the Session IPA, and now I'm drinking the Mexicake. So this is me across the entire spectrum, and you're hitting the mark every time. I mean, I think the Session IPA is probably it's the best in as much that it's that style. It's a session beer, and I said it when we were recording the podcast that it's so many times you pick up a beer and it's a 4% session IPA and you think to yourself, yeah, it's okay, it's drinkable, it's perfectly pleasant, but it's difficult, and we find it. I don't find it an awful lot that you drink a beer like that really, it's got a right good oomph and it's got such a good flavour profile to it that it really warrants talking about. Whereas that one did for me. And I think that's a right triumph. I mean,
that was canned on Thursday of last week.
So there you go.
It's like almost fresh. I couldn't have got it to you any fresher.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I had that sent out to you the day after it was canned. Oh, and that's what it's all about, man.
Hodge, like, I was sitting at home, and then I got a chap on the door. I was literally what happened was I was getting a delivery from 3 Hills. The guy chapped the door. I got the Three Hills beer, walked upstairs, and the door rang again. I was like, what the fuck? Went back downstairs and got handed another box of beer. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, oh, it's fresh Tempest stuff. I was like, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it's easy to go off the wall and, you know, throw everything in barrels and age them and all these kinds of things, but doing the simple things well, doing a nice Pilsner, a nice session IPA, a nice hoppy IPA, doing something like that really well makes you stand out for me anyway. You know, you're always going to have these people that are right into the hype, and you know they're going to buy the craziest shit out there, but that's what would, you know, if I was to try one beer and try that session IPA and think to myself, right, well, if they can make a session IPA like that, doesn't matter what I'm going to try, I'm going to give it a go anyway, and I'm going to be fairly confident that if they can make a beer like that and do it so well, then I'm going to be quite happy.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would agree with that. For me, you're talking about the hype, and for me, the hype only really matters to me when it's a specific style of beer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if someone was hyping a mad like stout, that wouldn't bother me that much. Like, but when somebody's hyping a deeper or a deeper is probably the way forward. That I'm all in. But for you guys, like you were saying, like what I think what I've tasted so far, like the dark beers, I think are just like totally outstanding, and I think they just kind of hit every kind of mark in terms of easy to drink, boozy, flavoursome, and all the rest of it. My one thing I would say is that your lager and that session, the Vermont, should be in 440ml cans, because
we're working on that. I promise you, we're working on that. Like, so the next big batch of lager coming through is our cold wave Pilsner, and that is going to be in 440ml cans. So I hear you, and we're going to do that.
The guys laugh because that's something I've said to.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. So when you get a lager, you want it in a big fat 440 can, don't you?
I want a big can.
So
I want a pint.
We're doing that. We're doing that. I promise you, we're doing that.
There we go.
So then, but also as well, Mark did. I think it was it Scott? Scott, you had the pale armadillo to begin with, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, do you think like stuff like that should also be in a 440? Apologies.
I would like it in a 440.
You can take
it's one of those ones you want. Aye, I mean, I would take a 5. No,
the whole.
I mean, I was sorely tempted by the 5-litre mini keg, I must admit.
The whole core range should be 440, shouldn't it? Every core range.
And that's what I was going to. I forgot because we were having such a good chat. I didn't ask it, but I thought that when I saw the rye, I thought in the 440, I thought, is this it? Is this you guys making the? Are you making the decision? So what was the decision to put that in 440s and still have the rest in 330s?
So I'll just Hodge, if it's okay. So basically, I'll Hodge can add in because he'll have. But basically, what happened was, guys, when Gavin, Annika, and the rest of the team were discussing it, I kind of went out and I spoke to a lot of places like independent bottle shops and kind of just figured out what kind of the consumer was traditionally buying. Mm-hmm. A lot of the feedback that we really took on board, because I think it's important, as you guys all know, to basically listen to what people that run shops, they see it every day. And people like myself, I'll go out and I like the rest of you 5, I'll buy what I buy. I kind of wanted to know, look, you guys run this business, what are people buying? The majority of feedback was Cam, look, you know, a lot of people, the pickup, I think the ratio was something like 4-to-1 was again like 330. So for every 1 440, people would pick up a 4-pack of 330. Yep. So in terms of what Andy was talking about tonight, that freshness and rotation through stock quickly was better in 330. Mm-hmm. So that's where we initially went with it, because we were like, well, we want to make sure the freshest beer's on sort of the shelf for you guys and everybody else. But then I think as time went on, I think 440 became the norm, and it's a bit different. But I think, as Andy and you guys have said, I think there's certain styles. Like I think Armadillo, Cold Wave is a 5% Pilsner, Modern Hell is a lager. You know, Long White Cloud at 5.4, you could even argue in a 440, they kind of work really well. And then I think our plan is for 2021 is like to still have the 330 mils for the dark beers.
Yeah.
A few of the big, like for example, I think that was interesting. See, when we did my Midnight Dipper, I think Hodge will correct me if I'm wrong. That was an 8% double IPA.
You are wrong.
What was it?
You're probably not.
That's right. But basically, what I think, like most dippers that you guys have all drank, they usually come in 440s or 500 mils. And I think a lot of people are like, I'm actually looking for a dipper that was in a 330. So I think moving forward, I think we just need to blend the two. So if it's a session lager or a session IPA, chuck it in a 444 pack. A small independent business can sell a 4-pack for a tenner, sit in the sun, have a good time. If it's a big barrel-aged beer, put it in 330 or a bottle. You know, just mix it up and adapt.
You want to make your core range affordable so that people can learn to trust you, so they can pay $7 or whatever for like a big fat can of dripper.
Exactly.
You know?
I think I can speak. Sorry, Gil. I think I can speak for all of us when we say when we did go in a bottle shop. Excuse me. The first thing we always look at is the 440ml cans. You look at the 440s and you're looking at the 440ml cans and you're looking at the can art and the can for us, the can. How the can feels, how the can looks. The 330, I think, suits the Mexicakes. I think it's anything above,
definitely.
Anything really high ABV definitely suits a smaller can. Sorry, Gil.
It's either you've got to go with that or I think you've either got to go 330 or you've got to go 750ml bottle and expect people to share it.
Yes, good man.
I don't think there's an in-between. I don't think there's a 440ml can of Mexicake that sits.
No.
I think there's a special wax seal, proper cork topped 750ml bottle that you can sit on a rack and age it for however many years.
Aye.
But I think if you're expecting, particularly in the situation that people are in at the moment at home, 330ml is absolutely fine to drink on your own. If you move it up to a 440ml can in 11% beer or 13% beer, you're thinking I need to half that with somebody. And there isn't anybody here that I can half it with.
But Scott, it was interesting that you say that, because when I was listening back to your episode with Fallon and Stuart, when you guys chatted to him, it was interesting because they've kind of moved their whole range across to 440, and it's like 7 core range, isn't it now, with like Sterling advice and everything. The one thing I say that they've done very well from my perspective is all those beers like Odyssey and all that one, they're still incredibly affordable in 440.
The Fallon stuff was incredibly affordable. It was ridiculous.
But Gav, that's interesting because when we look at it, we're constantly looking at, right, do we go printed cans? Because then that helps our costs in-house, as Hodge will know. If we can upscale and put these beers, but they're still affordable, I think you'll actually gain people going, I'd pick up a 4-pack of Modern Hellers and drink that on a Friday night. If it was still affordable.
I think so. I think I think it would, and it's different because you're going to be doing different sizes. But see if you were to do like a 3, like almost like a 3 and 2 or something like that, where you're doing like with different sizes, where you're saying, right, okay, you can get, because like the way you guys are, I think, is in totally trustworthy core range, which then means whatever step you want to take. So to say, right, you can have a box, and this is me dreaming. So if I'm buying beer and I'm on the website at the moment, what I'm looking for is a special on, I can buy a 4-pack and I can either buy 2 core range, so 2 of my favourites, and then 2 wild ones, or 3 core range, 3 different types, and then 1 wild one. And say, right, okay, I want 3, I want a Hellas, I want a Session, and I want a West Coast IPA in there, and then I want a wild card, which can be anything £7 or above, but I want the wild card in there so that you can have it, because you guys are trustworthy that you could pick anything. Like, you could pick anything out of that. I mean, I'm sitting with the 3 of them in front of me. So I've got the rum barrel aged Mexicake, I've got Old Procule, and I've got all the leaves are brown. Now, you could take your pick at any of the 3 of them, and you would enjoy them if you like that style of beer. So if you want to go wild card, that would be incredible. Like, that would be my dream kind of 4-pack, if you like, would be 3 cores, all different styles of core, and then a wild card.
I mean, maybe we hit this podcast with too much dark beer. Maybe we'll come back next time with some light. Oh, come on!
Yes.
Nah, you can't do too much dark beer.
Hold on, let me hear what he's going to say first, because I'm all into if he's going to drop me some fucking dirty IPAs and a dirty.
Let me start you out with some lighter stuff, man. Like we've done one side of it. Let's do the other. Have us back 6 months. Once you get through your backlog of breweries who want to come through and have a chat with you, come back to Big Hodge. I'll sort you right out, man. And by then I've got some stuff in the pipeline for you, darling. You love it.
So when we talk, Hodge, when do you think? March, April?
How are you tomorrow?
Hungover.
Absolutely.
Hangover? What the fuck is that?
Is that right? I think
drinky.
Exactly. Well, in fact, incidentally, Hodge, what we noticed there was a wee corked bottle just got popped there. What are you having there, son?
Highland Park.
What's that? Oh, for fuck's sake! It's a little spring water or something like that.
Oh, I think just touching on what you're mentioning there, I think 2 breweries that I've bought from in the last kind of couple of months, and I'm pretty sure, Mark, you've done the same, that are stupidly affordable and just ridiculous for what you're getting for your money. The first one was Top Out. I bought their mixed pack, I think it was, just before Christmas. That was tremendously good value, and they had the 500ml bottles in there. That was insane. And the other one for myself was Staggeringly Good Beer. Me and Mark, we picked up a case of theirs. It was a mixed case of beer. How many was it? 12?
It was
10 or 12?
It was 10 or 12, yeah.
I think it might have been 10 because you got 10, you got a glass as well, and that was just the price of that was just ridiculous. And they're all
like 34 quid or something, or 33 quid or something for 10 beers, and they were all 440s, and some of them were big. Like there was a couple of funky sours in there. Well, obviously I've still got them sitting for dry January, but and there was a couple of big dirty deepas as well, weren't there?
Aye, dirty
deepas.
Dirty deepas.
As soon as I make a deepa, that's going to be the name of it. Big dirty deepa.
But it's definitely. When you find value, you stick with that brew. I know I'm going to buy more Top Out because I know it's good value. I know I'm going to buy more Staggeringly Good Beer because it's good value. If you get like you said, a mix or a case of beer that's good value, people will just keep coming back for it. And especially if it's 440ml, especially 440ml cans. If it's your core range and it's 440ml, and then you've got a couple of little specials that are 330 or dark beers that are 330, it's worth the money.
That's what you want, man. You want like your core range to be an affordable 4-pack for like $5 or whatever, and all your special stuff. That's like you raise the price a bit because it's 4-foot can. That's the one, man.
Definitely.
You know what? But like I said before, is that you have to base your reputation on your core range. You can't just start making weird beer.
No, but I think you guys have got that though.
Well, that's what I'm saying about like New Barns, for instance. We're celebrating them tonight because they've done what's the right thing to do. Is like create a strong core range.
Definitely. Gentlemen, we've went for maybe longer than we usually do on our Patreon, little kind of extra. Is there anything else anyone wants to add?
I'd say Modern Hells.
I've said enough.
Awesome.
Sorry, Cal?
The Modern Hells, I've just my final drink of the night. I've started light, went fucking mental, and now I'm back.
Come back down again.
Now I've come back down, and it's just a perfectly crisp, clean, easy drinking.
Really easy.
Really nice.
I'm the same. I've had the double rye IPA, and you just don't feel the 8% whatsoever. Lovely, nice and sweet, lovely beer, and it especially looks even better in that 440ml can. Looks really, really nice. Looks even better in the pictures that I've done. Just look at our Instagram page, FYI.
Lovely plug, Gab. Yeah.
Yep, you know it. Head to our Facebook, social media pages, Instagram, Twitter, search Beerfish Podcast. Make sure you like, follow, and share. Tempest as well. Just search Tempest Brewing. You'll find them, and go to the website as well, tempestbrewco.com. Pick up some of this beautiful beer that we've been sampling this evening. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you for being a Patreon on the page, and we'll see you on the next one on the Beerfish Podcast. Thank you very much. Bye.